So the team has come a long way. Now I get to take credit for it because I'm the top guy, but really it's been Mark Masterson, and it's been his team. It's been Ed Young. It's been a whole group of people, and it's also been a culture of service. We brought people in. We survey you all. Maybe you've got one of those surveys. We get 2,000 in each of the feedback cycle. I read all of the comments, and I look at all of the numbers. And we keep reinforcing that over and over again. We're not an agency that believes its mission is to regulate, even though we're responsible for doing that. We try to do it with the lightest possible touch. But overall, we're here to help you so that you can help teachers and principals and special ed directors who are supporting students and parents in the classroom. We reinforce that mission over and over again. And when we look at our numbers from our surveys coming back, we're making fast progress. Matter of fact, I've been doing this all my whole adult life, setting up organizations that are devoted to service, and we're making the fastest progress of any organization that I've encountered in my adult life. But you all are a part of that, because you're also providing service on down. Our real goal is to serve and support teachers in the classroom, and it's obvious to me that you all are doing a great job too, and you're helping us. Because let me tell you, we don't have the resources to do this on our own. We have so many partnerships going on with the school districts, and all of the school districts have been extraordinarily helpful in that process, and for that, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Now, we've come a fair ways, but it really only seems like a long ways because things were so horrible back then. We have a long way to go, and we're going to need you to complete the destination. So let's run through it real quick on what we still need to do. We've got to completely redesign SACE, completely redo it. And the reason we have to is there's perhaps 1,000 people, probably at least 1,000 people out in the school districts that essentially work full-time dealing with the garbage that SACE puts out. So we get you incorrect numbers really fast right now. So that's stage one. Stage two is getting you data that's so reliable that you don't have to worry and engage in all of the problems that's caused by unreliability of data. You know, I've probably checked my bank reports a couple hundred times in my adult life, but I never found an error. And as a result, there's probably thousands of times that I haven't checked them. But because every time I checked them, they were correct. That reliability really reduces workload. It has enormous benefits. That's where we want to get to. We've got to reprogram SACE. $60 million a year in benefits of reprogramming SACE, we figure at minimum. And it's an $11 million job. Grab your legislators by the throat. Every one of you, put up your hand and say, I will grab my legislator by the lapel, softly, and I will do it. Come on, let's see everybody's hand go up. Come on. I'm looking at you there in the blue shirt. Let's get that hand up and say that you'll do it. You gonna do it? Help us get this thing fixed? He's gonna do it. He may not raise his hand, but he said he'd do it. We need that help. It's gotta be done. The benefits are so extraordinary. We've come a long way. We've got to push this on over the edge. If every one of you would pass that on to the legislator and give personal testimony as to the potential benefits of us helping out, allowing the resources in us to worry less about the paperwork and do more to support the teacher in the classroom, we can get this done. The other thing is we have 200,000 students that move from school to school every year. Thousands of them have to be tested all over again because their data doesn't move. Thousands, hundreds of dollars a student. So we have $60 million a year in reduced errors, just moving information around with the modern computer system, getting out of the 1950s and getting into the 1990s, can save many millions of dollars or more. Just moving that information with the student and allowing that to flow. So that's the number two thing that we have going out there. The other thing we have is we've gone out, Ed Young and his people, Mark Masterson and his people, we've gone out to school districts and taken a look at the very best teachers at the beginning of the school year, the very best, and we've observed everything that they do. And we've observed that they spend 3 to 6 days in clerical labor collecting the information that they need to engage their students at the beginning of the year. 3 to 6 days collecting information. We know that you and us can get that information to that teacher with the touch of a button in a split second, make it all available. That's completely possible. That's hundreds of thousands of teacher days of saved labor. But even more important than that It's the promise of allowing every single one of our teachers to go into the classroom prepared the way that only our very best and our most dedicated teachers are today. So we can put in place systems that allow every single teacher to achieve excellence, and all with the touch of a button. And the ease and the stress alone will be monumental. So that's number 3. So over 1,000 people working on the errors, 200,000 students moving school to school, and 50,000 teachers spending 3 to 6 days to be ready in an excellent fashion for school. And then number 4 is we have all of our small and rural school districts, and that's most of our school districts, most of our schools. They have no prayer in this battle. They don't have the Mark Mastersons and the Ed Youngs and the people that the larger school districts have to get prepared for this war. They need our help that only we can give it. When we go to our larger school districts, $5 a student is their fully amortized cost for these software products. At these smaller schools, it's $35 a student. It's incredibly expensive. We, through a combined effort, can reduce that cost for those smaller systems from that $35, that $40, that $30, right on down, very close to the Mesa cost, to the Tucson Unified cost. We can get them those economies of scale if we get the system designed right and save more tens of millions of dollars a year. We would be beside ourselves if we could go and get AAA rated returns of 10% a year. We're talking returns of thousands of percent a year. We're talking, it's off the charts. So join with me in conveying this information to our legislators and say, if you want to get money into the classroom, if you want to support teachers, if you want to have teachers prepared in an absolutely excellent fashion, folks, we got to get this done. And once again, thank you for all that you do. And I think we might have an opportunity for a few questions, and I will, we'll do that. I'll open it up for questions if you mind. Now, this is a point at which I sweat you out. Gotta be somebody out there with a question. Anybody have a question about Common Core?
Are they changing the name?
So the question is are they changing the name on Common Core? Now, I went to a meeting the other morning, and I've been talking a little bit to people about the challenges of Common Core and some of the criticisms that we're getting. And I've come to the sense, I wanted to start talking to people in background about the idea that to separate ourselves from some of the more controversial aspects of the Common Core movement, that we would take possession of our state standards. And these are excellent state standards that we have. We would take possession of them by naming them Arizona standards and sort of separating ourselves a little bit from the Common Core movement. So we went into the Common Core store and we bought their standards, but now we're observing some other thing in the Common Core store that we have some questions about. So we want these standards to be our standards and to send out a clear signal that if you go in and you're dealing with different aspects of Common Core, buyer beware. We got these standards, we're proud of them, incredible standards, letter identification in kindergarten, phonics leading into 3rd grade, comprehensive fluent reading by 3rd grade, multiplication tables by 3rd grade, double-digit and triple-digit multiplication, the long division, they call that the algorithm, that's in there. Fractions, none of that new math stuff. Solid, you have to know your fractions so you can be ready for the sciences, and algebra by freshman year, and grammar and punctuation. And not only that, not only all those solid gold basics, but moving beyond to what they call critical thinking. And to me, critical thinking is summarized, you can solve real world problems. You can not only multiply 6 times 7 is 42, but if somebody tells you that there's a garden that's 6 feet by 7 feet and you need 3 inches deep of fertilizer on it, that you can solve that and find out how many cubic feet of fertilizer. Critical thinking, that you can actually implement this and think mathematically, not just you have your foundation. These are great standards. The problem is there's other stuff that's associated with this debate that's poisoning our standards. And I think that we need to take ownership of those standards and separate them out a little bit so we can clarify the debate and the discussion. I don't want us to throw out the baby with the bathwater mistakenly in terms of mistaken thinking by some of our members in the public.
So what's going to happen to our assessment and then with that, the accountability?
So the question is what's going to happen with our assessment and the accountability? Well, we're sticking to the solid gold standards. So now Ames contract is over. We have to come up with a new way of measuring our standards. You have that multiplication by third grade. What tests are you going to use? We've been involved with the PARC test for a long period of time. We have scientists on our staff that are helping to develop that. I love the PARC test. I love it for 3 reasons. Number one, it's going to be a lot more accurate for our upper end students. So right now, Ames is not very accurate for upper end students. You get up above the 80th percentile, parents don't get the kind of information they need to manage their students' education going through the years. The accurate feedback that would let them know, okay, we're on track here for great success. So it's more accurate at the upper end. It also is more accurate at the lower end in the same way, giving a little more detail there. Also, Massachusetts is going to be doing the PARC test, and that's huge. Their test scores are the highest in the nation, and we would be going toe-to-toe with them. And why that is so important is that the real measure of a school isn't test scores. The real measure of a school is academic gains. Just because a student came to you at the 10th percentile at the beginning of kindergarten, that's not your measure of you as a school, but your ability to move them from the 10th percentile to the 30th percentile, that's your measure. And so there is a chance that when we go toe-to-toe with Massachusetts, that our schools will be better than theirs, that we will have higher academic gains. But certainly we want to be in the ring with the champ. And guess what, folks? We can take the champ down on academic gains. There's no doubt in my mind that if we get focused, that we have superior assets to them, that we can have higher academic gains and proof that our schools are better than Massachusetts, who has the highest test scores in the nation.
So as far as accountability, I'm referring to going back to AYP with regard to the waiver.
Okay, so I went down the wrong track there, but it was a good speech anyway. Now, having gone down that track a little way, let me finish that. By state law, we have to go out for procurement. PARC will be one of a number of vendors who come in. There might be multiple vendors for PARC. So PARC is really a test, it's not a vendor. And the complexity of that whole situation hasn't filtered out yet. ACT has got a test in the early years that are part of that. So let's switch gears to the waiver. Now, the waiver, we had this waiver the last year. We're having a little discussion with the Department of Ed. The tension is rising. Matter of fact, I was just on the phone before I came to this meeting with John Easton, who's the head of Institute of Education Sciences at the Federal Department of Ed. And I said, Ed, Arnie Duncan has agreed for you to come in as a mediator between us and the waiver people. And I need you to be on our side. And so I did a pretty good job of persuading him to be on our side. We have some ideas about how you measure educational outcomes with superior quality. There's a whole lot of research now, and John Easton is an expert on it. He's the head of Institute of Education Sciences, on how you can add affective measures to the whole mix and get a superior outcome. Alhambra's been one of the leaders on this for over a decade, going all the way back to the days of Carol Peck. They keep careful track of their relationship with parents, and they manage that as an asset to improve academic outcomes. Number of the school districts in Arizona, we would like to start integrating those measures into our accountability and the waiver issue. So that's going to be part of that discussion. We are confident that we will continue on with the waiver, but hopefully I don't miscalculate and go and push things too far. But we're definitely striving for a waiver. But as soon as you feel like you have an obligation, if you're in a negotiation and you're not willing to go over the cliff, that puts you at a tremendous disadvantage. So I'm willing to go over the cliff. I just got to be careful that I don't actually do it.
Back to Common Core, just for clarification, will we be accountable to Arizona, to federal, or to a combination of both?
Because of the provisions of No Child Left Behind, we are absolutely accountable at the federal level. What the waiver does is sweeps aside all of the accountability measures that used to be, and allows us to bring in a new system. Originally I had this concept that I'd like to unify the state and federal system. Now I get a little nervous over that concept, and I'd like to run them in parallel and carefully manage any conflicts between the two of them. So the answer is, yeah, we're going to be accountable for some time to come, and we just want to keep working on the feds to get them to up their game. You think they would be the absolute brainiacs in how to do this? but they're as much susceptible to political pressures, which sort of dumbs you down in educational policy terms. So that's why I'm bringing in John Easton. He's an incredible expert on all of these issues in terms of the science of measurement and education. So I'm hoping that we can actually leverage the feds to actually move us to a higher level even than we are at the state level. So yes, there'll be two versions. We'll have our A through F letter grading continuing on the state level. Those two are going to start to inform each other. We want to get effective measures into the A through F letter grading. The absolute laser-like focus on just cognitive scores, reading and math, we don't think that's going to take us to the ideal position. You have to balance the humanity of this. Education is a people business. The students aren't cows to be milked for test scores. We always got to keep the human factor in there. It turned out, I was hoping to have this all done 3 months after I got into office. Here I am 2.5 years. It's the complexity of getting this done is mind-boggling, and managing federal relationships. We think we're going to be able to get it done, but it's very challenging. The other states that are working on this have also been very challenged. Well, thank you so much for the opportunity to be here. I just love the smiles when I come in here, and the vibrant discussion. This is a learning group. It's a positive group. Things are going well. We sure appreciate your support. And don't forget to grasp that legislator and say, 1,000 people, 60,000 teachers, and 200,000 students, they need your support, legislator. They need it critically, and the returns on investment are off the charts. Thank you.
We are always very honored to have Superintendent Huppenthal attend our meetings and talk to us about what's going on. Thank you very much. We had a busy summer, getting ready for different things. That's why we have a busy, full agenda this morning. As we talked at the end of the year last year, several of us were members of the committee that wrote the RFP for the statewide student information system. And we have Rose and Linda here to discuss that later on. Lori Ventura had 7 focus groups, I believe it was, and a lot of work was done with student-teacher course connection, and Lori will be speaking as well. Mark is not going to be here this morning. Ed Jung is here in his place, and so Ed's going to address the things that happened over the summer, the data conference that occurred over the summer. Scott and John from Alhambra and I attended that one as well. A lot of good information, met people from other school districts across the state. So it was so summertime. Everybody thinks that we're not busy in the summer. That's always my favorite question when people are getting ready to leave for the school year. They look at me and say, "So, do you work 12 months? Are you going to be here?" And then when they come back, they all say, "So, did you get some time off?" No, yes, I'll be here, and no, I didn't get very much time off. So. A couple of housekeeping things that we need to take care of. We talked last year about the need for videotaping the meetings. And so through our ASCUS membership funds, we have purchased a video camera. My dear husband is standing over there in the corner. He picked it out and helped us get it all set up. And he has everything set up and running this morning. It's really, really, really easy. Even I could do it. But we need somebody to volunteer to man the camera during our meetings. And I would like you to please give some thought to that. It's a piece of cake, as I said. It's a very easy camera to operate. We bought that humongous tripod for it. So all you have to do is attach it to the tripod, focus it on this area where people are talking, and you'll be able to videotape the meeting. So please give that some thought and see me by lunchtime so that we can have somebody in the organization who can run the machine. Granted, he's retired, but he doesn't really want to come to all of our ASCUS meetings every year.
It's like a job. It's like a job.
Yeah, it's like a job, and he doesn't have one of those anymore. He doesn't want to have one again. So after we have after Ed's finished, we're going to split the finance and student groups, and finance will be down the hall around the corner in the Valencia room as normal. And then after we have finished with the morning agendas, we'll be having lunch across the way in the, what's the name of that room? Estrella. I can never remember if it's Estrella or Esperanza. Estrella room across the way, and then we'll get the tables set up in here for our user groups in the afternoon. We'll split this room as we normally do for Infinite Campus and Synergy. How many Power School people do we have today? No, it's good. Okay, I think we can still be able to get you guys into that room over right around the corner over here. Are there any schoolmaster people here today? Are you guys planning to get together? Okay, then the room right here, just beyond the entrance across the entryway here, that little room over there. You guys should be able to be in that room, okay, this afternoon when we have our user group meetings. So, okay. Ed Young is here from the ADE's IT department to present to us.
Thank you for putting up with me on this microphone. Anyway, there's been a lot of activity over the past couple of months. Ever since we started talking about the data system since the beginning of the year and trying to make the effort to get the funding for the data system from the legislature. Through the summer, in working with a number of things with trying to streamline our data processes. And I'm just going to give you an overview of all the things that have been happening and a look into some of the things that are still happening and will happen. So that's that. First, the appropriation was not what we wanted it to be. So because of that, we are going to defer some of the things. We had to prioritize what we're going to do. Most notably, some of the things that are deferred are full development of all the teacher tools that we want to have, including a lot of professional development tools, and the full replacement of the finance portion of SACE. We are moving ahead with the data collection portion of SACE and the input side of SACE, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. The other focus that's taking place is really on the development of this statewide longitudinal data system. The dashboards, I think I was here last year and gave a demo of the dashboards that were in place at that time. And we are continuing to move forward on that. There's been a lot of great work on the dashboards, and I want to give you a little bit more of visibility into that, because that's really where a lot of the effort is taking place right now. So again, last year I think I talked about some of the things that we're trying to solve with the dashboards, but most importantly, the dashboards that we are about to launch, the new version of these dashboards, were really developed in collaboration with educators. We did not sit back at the Department of Education and look at what we could do with the data that we had and then try to come up with visualizations based on what we thought people wanted. This was, we had sessions, we met with pilot schools and districts that showed us how they were using data, the manual processes that often took place to work with data, sometimes state data, sometimes local data, combine them, merge them, run them into spreadsheets, build access databases. We saw all sorts of things from the educators in all the school districts that we were working with. And we basically said, you know what, let's see if we can streamline those efforts and come up with something that will allow all educators in Arizona, not just the ones that are willing to work at it, but give all the educators that same data with a reduced amount of effort. So I'm just going to show you a couple screenshots right now. We have the data system right now being developed right now. We don't have a demo site for it yet, but we have work that's under development. We're trying to target wider rollout to the pilot districts in the next few months with launch to maybe like a couple hundred school districts by the end of the school year. So again, this is a pretty aggressive plan that we're trying to roll out right now. But as you can see, the visualizations are fairly interactive. We've got a lot of information on these charts. Everything here is going to be clickable. The people will be able to click on any bar here. In this case, you may get a view from a superintendent, and they may want to look at their school level performance and look at schools across their district. Or you might want to look at something about Ames reports. So in this case, you can see something about where the cut scores are broken down into percentages, where we have groups that have up to 30%, your lower 30%, you're dividing it to your middle, what was that, 50%, and then your upper 10%. So again, these cuts were based on what people asked us for. They said, this is how we use AIM scores. And